In this video, I'm going to walk through all the different options and buttons in Podcast Soundboard. So here on the left-hand side, we've got a sidebar that you can expand and collapse. This here is a memory monitor, because if you have a lot of different sound files at once, sometimes the computer can run out of memory. For some people, it's useful to keep an eye on this heap size value relative to this heap size limit, because if you have too many sound files, the heap size will hit the limit and that causes the application to crash. Now going through the sidebar, first we've got the help section. So you can click through these different sections here. Very basic explanation of the different pages. The next page is a soundboard page, which is where you spend most of your time actually playing your sounds. These shortcuts are only active when you're on this page. This is the soundboards management page, where you can view all your different soundboards, import and export them, clone them, reorder them. Then you've got the sound files management page. I've got another video specifically about sound files management. Then there's the web login page. So if I wasn't signed in already, I would see a login form. You need to log in if you want to import or upload your soundboards to your web account. That's a convenient way to transfer your soundboards from the desktop app to the web app. And you can also do the same thing with the mobile app. And then finally, we've got global settings, and we'll come back to this. So let's have a look at what the different options are for a soundboard. So if you've created a new soundboard, you see there's this settings button here. I can open that up, and I've got a few different options. So for one, soundboards have names that you can change there. We've got layout type, so there's keyboard versus freeform. So keyboard layout comes pre-configured layout like this, where each sound already has a keyboard shortcut. If I switch this to freeform, you can see I don't have all those empty slots. I have to create each sound. I have to create each keyboard binding. Let me put that back to keyboard. So when you are in keyboard mode, you can choose between QWERTY and different keyboard types. Then we've got this option here, one sound at a time. So like it says, if I have one sound playing, then I play another one, it's going to pause that first one. Like that. Hide unused keys. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see any key that didn't have a sound attached to it disappears. Wide layout. This gives me a couple more buttons, but crowds the page. And then we've got colors. So the app can be put into light mode or dark mode. So let me change both of these. So this is changing the background color. Now if I change to light mode, you can see the background is also changed accordingly. You can choose a custom color by clicking here. Let's reset those. And finally, this is the soundboard volume here. So the volume of a specific sound is shown here. When you change a soundboard sound, you actually have to play it for that to update. But this volume here is going to be a combination of three settings. So it's the soundboard volume multiplied by the sound volume. So this is the volume here for this specific sound. And that's also affected by the master volume. So if I put this to half, and I hit play here, you can see we're at a quarter now, because I had the soundboard volume at about half, global volume at half, sound volume at max, so we get a quarter. So that's all the soundboard level settings there. If we keep going through this nav bar, we've got these shortcuts here to switch between different soundboards. We've got this drop down where you can actually search your soundboards there. We've got a pause button to pause all sounds. There's a duck button. So if my sound is playing, I can hit duck, and that's going to lower the volume. So if you're recording a podcast and there's music playing, you don't want to pause the music, but you want to lower it so you can speak over it. That's what the duck button's for. Let me undo that. And the amount of duck is controlled in the global settings here, duck amount. So it's pretty clear what that's doing. We've got a search bar that can be toggled. So if I want to search for that flush sound effect, I can find it. And finally, there's the keys disabled button. So right now, none of these keyboard shortcuts are actually listening. The reason this option exists is because if I'm typing a name or something like that, I don't want to be triggering sounds. So I've got to hit this so it says keys listening for my keyboard shortcuts to actually have an effect. Now let's go into sound specific options. So if I hit that cog here, we've got a similar color picker where I can have a custom color or a preset color for this sound. You can choose the name, the volume, whether it loops. There's a multi-shot option. So if I enable that, so this is my flush sound. What that means is I can trigger this multiple times, and instead of starting and stopping and starting and stopping, it's actually going to keep playing more copies. So let's try that. So you can hear there's a lot of duplicate sounds there. And always play from start means if I play the sound, pause it, and I play it again, it's not going to resume from where I paused it. It's actually going to play from the start again. Here's my sound picker. So these are all the sounds that I've put into the app so far. There's the voicey button for searching through the voicey sound effect library. Upload button for uploading new sounds. Clear button if I want to get rid of the sound file associated here. And there's a clear button here as well, which actually resets all the settings for this pad, completely blanks it out. If we keep going, there's a trim option, so I can cut down the sound to just a small portion like that. There's two different types of fading. So there's fading on pause. So for example, this is fading out on pause. This means if I hit the pause button, the sound is going to keep playing for 3 seconds and gradually fade off. So let's try that. So I'm pausing. You can see it takes 3 seconds to complete that pause. Alternatively, you can have fade out on end. So in this mode, it's going to take 3 seconds. It's going to fade for 3 seconds automatically at the end of the sound. So here you can see the sound's about halfway. So if I play it, it's going to automatically be fading about now. It went back to the start, but you can see it automatically faded out. We've got the same concepts for fading in. MIDI bindings, we have a separate video about MIDI bindings. Keyboard shortcuts, there's a separate video about keyboard shortcuts. And image. So you can actually put an image onto your sound pad. That'll show up there. So we've already had a look at the soundboards management page. Sound files management page, we have another video about. Syncing web soundboards, there's already another video about on this channel. And finally, let's have a look at the global settings. So we looked at master volume, we looked at audio ducking. Here's where you can select your output device. You can select your MIDI device here as well. There's a separate video about MIDI devices. We had a look at dark mode versus light mode. And there's one more option to look at in this video, which is the loading mode. So the reason this option exists is some people have a very large number of sounds on their soundboard. And what happens is when they open the application, the sounds all load from the computer's hard drive into memory. And if that's all happening at once, the computer has to work very hard, and it causes a spike in memory usage, which can crash the app. So if you have a lot of sounds and maybe you're encountering that issue, you want to make sure it's set like this so that load all sounds at once is turned off. And what that means is when you open up the app or open up the soundboard, each of these is going to load one at a time. It might take a few extra seconds, but it just increases the stability of the app when you open it up. I think that's about all the settings. Maybe worth pointing out, there's this button here. For sounds, we have play pause. If you want to skip back to the start, you can press that. And that's about all the buttons I think we have. Thanks for watching.